Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Good evening. Welcome home. You too. Yeah. We have a new friend here. Have I met you before? Yeah, a long time ago, eh? And your name forgot? Crystal. Ah, Crystal. Yeah, you look familiar. Long time.
A couple months.
Really? Only?
Maybe 3 months.
Oh, don't remind me that my memory is fading. It's sad, but it's a reality. Okay. So we have come back home and alive, and hopefully a better being. Yeah. So it was very hot down in the. Oh, I should have shown you some pictures of the pagoda. It was very hot down there. Every day is almost like 35. Oh, that's not bad, Laurie. It's really not bad. Hot. It's really hot. It's hot. One day it was 39. No, don't make such faces. It wasn't bad because it was dry. It was up in the mountain, right? And it was dry. And the most important thing is because we are always hiding inside the hall. Except during the lunchtime, then the students have to walk 7 minutes down to the dining room and back. So if they take 15 minutes to walk down, then it's hot. If they take 5 minutes to walk down, then it's pretty hot. So it's actually quite good. I had 61 female students, and there was 60 on the men's side. So it was a big course. But we had a few less women servers. We only had 7 this time. So the women servers are really working very hard. And we have 12 men servers. So the world is changing. The world is changing. Okay. So since I haven't figured out, or I did not want to figure out, or I don't want to figure out what I'm going to do in Dharma sharing, so I might as well do some question and answers. I think it's great to do some question and answers. So we've got some questions. So I don't know what kind of sequence they are, but there are some in red in color, some in pink, and some in green, and some in purple, some in dirt color, and some in black, and some in blue. So, look at all these colorful destination of your questions. So which one would you like to pick? Pink, red, green, purple, orange, black, and blue. White. So then we can all go home because there's nothing white. Everything is a color on this one. So we can talk blank then. So let us pick a red in color. Okay. So that is very complicated because then I have to flip through all the pages. Why don't you just consolidate all the red into one page? That's Ever, I kept telling him, that's you. You make my life so complicated. No, because there are choices. Life is full of choices, right? But you're right. It's on the first page. So Actually, pink is on the first page, but I picked the red one. I don't know what is red. Okay, this is from somebody. I'm curious if Sze Fu has any commentary on the state of our province. Fires, weather, politics, you name it. Oh, gosh, we can continue for 2 weeks. Do we need, huh? Do we really need to talk about this? Fires. There's a lot of fire everywhere. Even in the California Meditation Center, there is a really, really bad forest fire just not far from the center. But because we are up on the mountain, so the fire needs to have some time before it can actually reach us. But when we were leaving and filling up gas at the gas station, we saw how many? One, two, three, four, five, six fire, forest fire. Is labeled as forest fire trucks, pickup vans. So they must be the volunteers firemen to go and fight the forest fire. Fire is weather, politics, you name it. It really doesn't matter which one we are talking about. It really doesn't matter. All comes down to a conclusion, all comes down to one reason. The big word of karma. What else could that be? But there is always a misunderstanding of the word karma. We always think that karma is from the way back past lives. Would you have that misleading thought in your mind? Often, yeah. So, but no, the karma means like cause and effect, right? The causes that we have planted to have such effects right now, right? So what causes have we planted to have so much fire, so many fires? And so that this kind of weather, cut down trees.
I was just gonna say, I was really careful, I would have been evacuated. I would still had the house. When they had all the bug kill,
Ah,
they were supposed to clear all the dead bushes.
ah,
So,
you mean the beetle,
yeah, the pine beetle killed a lot of the
beetle,
forest
the
out there.
pines, yeah.
Yeah, so the reason this fire is so big and out of control is there's a lot of people in the bushes. that
Okay.
have been and was asked to clean out, like people were asked to clean up their properties.
And they don't. They did not. Okay.
They didn't, so
Okay.
that's part of the fun.
All right. Good. Cut down trees, or not cut down trees, not cutting down the dead trees and cutting down the good trees. What else? Yes, Laurie.
Keep thinking about the animals, like it's cattle country, ranching country.
Yeah.
Country.
So exploiting the environment by human beings. Carrie.
I think too, it's about trying to get things back in balance. Okay, so that's a positive spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
That this needs to happen because we need to change our ways.
Mm.
And it forces
As a
us-
reminder for us to stop exploiting. Is that what you want to say? Yeah. Okay. So
It's like a little bit of hell on earth. You know, like it's like we've created this situation and now we're living it.
mm, what about here? The men's side. Paul.
It's also a natural purification of the land. Every so often, naturally, the forest burns. And man wants to control this, for profit of the lumber or whatever, thinks he has some kind of control. And when it gets out of control, it even like takes that part over. So
Mm. Mm.
some of the most beautiful new forest I've seen has been after a fire when all the trees just
Mm.
gone.
Mm.
So it's just control of man and it's not working.
Mm. Lynn.
I look at it as natural occurrence also, and I tend to see the good that's coming up because of it. So many people are offering their homes and their vehicles and their land for all the people that had to be refugees. And the community is coming together. And even Chilliwack is trying to vote for our parks to be given to the people. But I guess a higher government takes care of where the refugees go. And so I just see so much positivity also coming out of this harshness.
We are all responsible. We are all responsible. Whether it's towards the negative side or whether it's towards the positive side, we are all responsible. Whether we are exploiting or whether we are not exploiting, whether we are chipping in the good hearts, whether we are not chipping in the good hearts, we are all responsible because of our actions. If we do not treasure our water, I remember 7 years ago, must have been 7 or 8 years ago, City of Chilliwack actually sent us a piece of paper and saying how beautiful the water Chilliwack has. And there was at the end, it's in bold letter, it's saying, please treasure our water. If we continue to use this water like the way that we have been using it, in 5 years, Chilliwack will not have this wonderful, beautiful water anymore. So it must have been, I don't know, it must have been, we must have been lucky, or the rain, we have a lot of rain, but it seems that we have less rain in the last couple of years. Yeah, okay. Or our karma of not having beautiful water over yet. Okay. So you can see it from that point of view is whatever that's happening around us, there must be some reason for it. And the reason, if you want to use it, if you want to use karma, the word of karma is a cause and effect thing. And you can use that actually very beautifully, I think, and it's very appropriately. But whatever has happened, how can we deal with it? That's the most important thing, right? Yes, maybe the fire. A lot of people, well, in the sequoia forest down in California, they intentionally set up fire. So the forest can actually revive itself because the ashes are wonderful fertilizer. And those tough, hardy sequoia fir, which are like 2,000 years old, any fire could hardly touch it. They could sort of like what do you call this? Just barely burn the bark, char it. Yeah, you can just barely char it, or maybe just little touch on the deeper part. But really old sequoias are very, very hardy and very tolerant to that extreme heat. So that extreme heat can take away those old bushes, those weak sequoias, or those really old and rotten sequoia. So whatever that is left is the really strong ones. So that's the karma also, isn't it? Within the same sequoia forest, some sequoias can survive those extreme heat, but some cannot. But they are all belong to the same family, sequoia fir. They are in the same spot, burned with the same kind of fire. Why would one cannot survive? Why would the other survive? Because the other is strong and tough, right? So why would he be so strong and tough? Because of all these past causes that make that particular tree to be so strong and tough. So just like human being, if we are in a place where there is a natural disaster, like a tornado, like a hurricane, like a tsunami, like an earthquake, you can always find some survivors. It could happen in the same household. The whole family died, and only one baby or one child or one mother or one brother survived. Why would that happen if it is not karma? Because all of us has our own individual karma. But yet, when we share, when we are all together, we have this collected karma, right? But in this whole collected karma, we only have a part of it in there. And if the conditions just strike that part, then it brings out the consequences of that particular speck of individual karma in that collected karma. You understand? So it's just, I always like to present it in a relationship thing. It's a big circle, and then another circle, and the two circles overlap. So if we have more parties in this thing, then all the circles overlap with each other. You can see how complicated that could be. Yeah. So that's actually, this is the best way to look at your relationships with your families, especially as parents, looking at the children's how they're going to live their life, or your partner, your spouse. You know, some people don't get along, some people get along very well, and they are afraid to lose that spouse or whatever. I always tell them, when they get along, they don't actually need to consult me. Only when they don't get along, they will come and consult me to get some counseling. I always like to present them with these two things. I said, this is you, and this is the one that you love or that you hate. It doesn't matter. And no matter how much you want to put it on top of each other, like superimpose, you can't, because this is different and this is different. Okay, so you want to superimpose them, then you have identical life experiences, identical karma is impossible. And even twins, on facial expression, on their character, they have differences. Even though the overlap may be that much, it's only that much. And there is still this individuality on this side. And you see, that's the part that we can actually utilize to change the consequences of this overlapping. It's actually, a lot of times once I draw out these circles and overlap them together, people just, oh yes, yes. Why am I so frustrated if I cannot change him or change her, or correct him or correct her? I say, yeah, because you're so stubborn and you're so egoistic and you think that this is for their own good, but you don't realize it's their own karma that they have to be responsible. And when we talk about this, I remember there's some sharing, is that the most precious experience I have had with the Dharma was allowing others to work out their own karma. When I met Sister Jessie, the world was on my shoulders, and especially the burdens of those close to me. I had the illusion that I could take their suffering from them by suffering myself. That means she wanted to be the savior. Of course, this did not work. We just all suffered. Through meditation, I have learned to let go of trying to fix all the suffering that I see, and I have learned to be with people who suffer in a detached way. So she start to really see things the way it is and start to work on this, and still feeling for them, still wanting to help, but not taking it onto the shoulders, and suffered oneself. So I could probably talk for a very long time on all the ways in which the teachings have helped me, but I have practiced non-judgment for over 6 years, and because of this, I see so much beauty and goodness in the things that the world may have labeled ugly or bad. Okay, so this has something This has a big thing to do with karma too, this sharing. All right. So are we done with the fires, weather, politics? You name it, I name it. Everything. Okay. All right. So I think we start from this really positive side of this Q&As is, okay, I would like first to share my experience with the 5 precepts, not percepts, precepts, PRECEPTS, okay? I have thought about them for many years. After doing a lot of reading and knew how important they are, the one thing I will admit is how deeply they have affected me. After finally taking them in May, I'm surprised how profound they are. I find that I am a better, more patient and compassionate person and father just because of them, just because of having taken the 5 precepts. All my relationships have improved with my family and co-workers. Not that they were troubled to begin with. They are really nice people to begin with, maybe quite nice people, but they become nicer. The relationship become better as I have the patience and compassion in my dealings. I find that in all my actions that I pause, quickly think of my precepts and how I should respond or act. I have made changes in my life recently due to my precepts and being sick. So I'm working less. Congratulations. That's the best thing to hear. I added these words, okay? And I appreciate my family more and really make it an effort to spend quality time with them as well as I have made. Okay, quality time with them is so important because the family has a very strong relationship with you. The karma is very strong to be in a family, to be together in a family. Okay, so it could be we could say, I don't want to use the word good or bad karma, unpleasant or pleasant karma. Okay, it could be a very unpleasant, unwholesome karma that means the whole family keeps fighting all the time. And if it is a pleasant, wholesome karma, then the family is very close. And either way, either side, it could cause sufferings, right? On the unhappy side, it could cause a lot of suffering. But on a very happy side, it could cause sufferings too if you don't see it through with a very aware mind. Why? Because it is so loving. I call loving. But you are not loving in a way with a lot of awareness, a lot of objectivity. You are loving with a lot of indulgence, with a lot of attachment. Then it will be it could become a relationship with a lot of suffering. Why? Because sooner or later, one of us in the family will have to depart from this human life. And when that happens, if we haven't developed that kind of awareness and that kind of understanding how the life is really, what's the truth of existence of our life, then we could easily fall into that grief and bereavement. Agree? So it's very important, really. It's great that you start to appreciate your family more and more. It's great, and it should happen that way. It should happen. And make it an effort to spend quality time with them. Yes, very, very important. Before we run out of time. Before they start to take their own path, their own life, on their own path, because children will grow up. They will leave home, go to study, pursue their career, to establish their own family. This morning, I met a very old student from Po Lam who hasn't come here for a long, long time. I looked at him, I look at her. Oh, that looks very familiar, but because of the sun, I couldn't see clearly. And then across the road, like from here to the first house, and she said, "Sze Fu, Oh, and she said, and she told me was her updated life was, and and she, she said one word. She said, "It is an empty nest." When a bird nest become an empty nest, you will start to feel very lonely, lonesome, and it seems that your is a part of your life is missing. But that's the nature, isn't it? That's the nature. So we have to we really have to, through mindfulness, through awareness, through meditation, through contemplation, we really need to understand and know this truth more and more day by day when we get older and older. Otherwise, otherwise, when it happens, we'll be in shock and we cannot accept it. But when you have the family with you now, treasure and cherish. You want to share something that you shared when we were in San Francisco about me going to San Francisco every 2 months, but yet you see me all the time here? You still remember?
Yeah, and also in relationship with the seedings down in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. You want to speak a little bit louder?
Sure. Okay. So what I was saying is because we went down to San Francisco first for a couple days, right, in the at the temple there, and then a lot of Sze Fu students went to the center. I don't know how many of them, but quite a few, I think, went to the center for the 10-day retreat.
The meditation? Oh,
Yeah, the meditation.
18 people.
Yeah. So, and when I was sitting there in the retreat, some thoughts just kind of went through my mind quite a few times, and I thought, wow, I have Sze Fu here all the time.
In Chilliwack.
15 minutes away, right, from my own house, and I'm happy. Of course, I'm happy to have her here, and to a certain part, I think I'm grateful for her presence. But then I'm looking at her and thinking, wow, these people don't have Sze Fu, right?
Yeah.
Like they only get you every once in a while, and
Yeah.
you can feel, wow, you can just feel how grateful they are to have Sze Fu there. And then when we came, and actually this part I didn't share, but
Yeah.
because it was after the retreat. So
Yeah.
after the retreat, we all came. We left. It took us about 5 hours to get from the center back to the temple in San Francisco, and there were a lot of people that had prepared this beautiful lunch for Sze Fu as like a welcome back, and we were late, like an hour late, I think, but everybody stayed. Everybody was super happy, and that's all the time that they have with her. It's like they have to use every single second that they get, because that's all they get. So that they use
2
it.
hours.
And I saw it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really
Only
it was
2
only
hours, yeah.
It was amazing. Very, very precious.
Yeah. So, in the Chinese saying, there is a saying in Chinese, is actually a wonderful saying. It just means that don't take things for granted. Just cherish and treasure when you have it. And don't lament when you don't have it. It's too late to lament. It's really too late. So it's better translation than what I have given you the other day, right? All right. So, yes, wonderful. Treasure the family, please, and cherish them. And as well as I have made the decision to volunteer weekly working with older seniors at a senior day center. It's wonderful because why? Serving others is actually helping ourselves. Because when you serve others, people are using their life to give you teachings. When you see people growing old, and when they are old, they cannot do this. They will have to rely on people to do this and to do that and to do that. And we should become aware that, hey, one day I may need this. One day I may become like this. This is a rehearsal for myself. When I get older, I may be like this. So, and this also this I it wasn't this morning. I think it was on the day we came back from the center, on the way back from the center, the meditation center to San Francisco, the temple. We stopped at McDonald's for a cup of tea and toilet run. I saw quite a few people who have, I think it was problems of drugs, and I saw a lot of older people having their breakfast or brunch or whatever, and then really crippling people, also crippling people because of their health. And I looked at them and said, wow, I really need to look after my own health. Otherwise, I'll be like them. So when you go and serve people, whether it's in an old folks home, whether in a children's hospital, whether in a hospice environment, they are actually allowing us to see the real life in front of us. It could be old age, it could be sickness, it could be end of life, it could be separation from loved ones, it could be anything, right? So if we could be inspired by those experiences, that would be a wonderful service. Don't just go and be a mechanical volunteer. You have to carry your heart to there. And that's the very, okay. Okay. That I can connect that with this question is, I would like a discussion on the differences between the different schools of Buddhism, especially between Mahayana and Theravada. I could connect this with this slightly. So the Theravada is mostly, they call it a self-enlightenment practice. Okay, that's what they call. That's what they label Theravada way, because they want to work towards attaining enlightenment and nibbana. Whereas Mahayana, that means the big vehicle practice, the big vehicle Buddhism, is about Bodhisattva path. Bodhisattva, that means a sentient being who is enlightened, but would not leave this Bodhisattva state to become a Buddha. That means it doesn't rise, he or she doesn't rise further to attain that Buddhahood or to become Buddha. Instead, they choose to come back into this, you can call it the human world, to serve people, to serve sufferings people. And every Bodhisattva has their own vows, different vows. Of course, all the vows are based on what? Based on compassion and wisdom. Otherwise, they cannot be Bodhisattva. If the compassion is not being based on wisdom, the compassion is just very ordinary loving kindness. It cannot be called compassion. Why? Because if it is without wisdom, then a lot of times we could have this urge or this intention of getting feedback or expectations or remuneration in any sense, in money sense, material sense, or even in verbal remuneration, like praising or a thank you or whatever, or, oh, you've done a wonderful job. I think you're such a wonderful person, you know. And a bodhisattva doesn't even pay attention to those words. They don't care whether you hit them. They don't care whether you praise them. It's the intention to actually serve suffering beings. So that's the big difference, so-called big difference between a Mahayana and a Theravada in a very traditional way. But what I see, the very big difference of, you want to call it Theravada or Mahayana, I think is the intention, the extent of the intention to help people. If you are just okay, I'm practicing. I just want to have a better mind, a more relaxed mind, a more peaceful life. Actually, there is a lot of people like that to practice. A lot of people like to practice like that, just to have a peace of mind. Let alone the whole world suffers. Doesn't matter. It's none of my business. It's their business. They have their own karma. Right? For me, a Mahayana, for somebody who actually given themselves out to help any suffering beings through their actions, through their mind, whether verbal, whether physical, whether it's mental, they could always be called a bodhisattva. They could always be called a Mahayana practitioner. Even if a Mahayana practitioner, they learn the Mahayana teachings, but they don't go and serve beings. They don't go and help suffering beings. I call them a Theravadan, a small vehicle practitioner. That's how I see it. I don't see it from the scope of the teachings. I see it from the scope of the behavior. A scope of the intention, the extent of the intention. That's how I see it. But of course, traditionally, they don't differentiate in that aspect. They differentiate with the teachings. And also, a lot of time, people say the Theravadan are using the Nikaya, the Pali Canon, and the Mahayana is only based on the Chinese canon, which I think it could be misleading if we really use that to differentiate between Theravada and Mahayana. Because in the Mahayana teachings, a lot of the teachings, I mean, all of the teachings, whether it's Theravada, whether it's Mahayana, have to be based on the original teachings, the real original teachings, the basic original teachings, the foundations of the teachings. What are the foundations of the teachings? The Four Noble Path, the Four Noble Truth, the Eight Noble Path, the 12 things of dependent origination, the 37 steps to enlightenment, and the anicca, anatta, dukkha. It based on all these, but it's become it is more elaborated on how one can serve humanity better. Okay? So maybe you can name a few bodhisattva in this real lifetime. The experience that, I mean, somebody that you may know, somebody that you may have heard of, somebody that you may encounter, somebody you may read about, consider to be a bodhisattva in our lifetime, in this lifetime. Yeah. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa.
How about Jesus? Is that too long ago?
No, in this our own lifetime.
Oh.
Our own lifetime. We heard about Jesus. I don't deny that Jesus is a Bodhisattva, but I don't think Christian would like to hear that. No, no. So don't make them angry. Don't make them to you know. Definitely, Jesus is a great Bodhisattva. The Pope, who said something. Okay, all right. Dalai Lama, in a sense, is a Bodhisattva. Okay, in your sense, I mean, this is how you feel. There's no right or correct, right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. To me, I think Mother Teresa is a great Bodhisattva. It's a,
So I'm wondering if Bodhisattva could be just like this. Must be many in the world that.
of course,
There's a lot.
yeah. It don't. Okay, there is something called Bodhisattva, and there is something called Bodhisattva acts. Right, the actions of a Bodhisattva. There are a lot of Bodhisattva in any moment of this lifetime. Fireman could be a Bodhisattva right now, right? Or ambulance man, if he's putting his heart into his job and taking the really urgent to taking the patient to the hospital, and the doctors in the hospital putting their whole heart into it, treating the patient, their utmost efforts. Those are the Bodhisattva acts, isn't it? Right? So, Versha, you're right. They are everywhere, including you, us. You thinking what?
I was thinking about volunteerism and what they do, and I think to me they just.
Bodhisattva.
Yeah, I was going to say angels, but.
Angels. Yeah. I mean, angels are Bodhisattvas, so Bodhisattvas are angels. Okay. Yeah? Agree? Are you touch or you just hay fever? I'm sorry. All right. So this is really a large topic, yes, but I think this is more of like a philosophical topic, which is really, I think practically it's actually very, very important. All right. I think it's the extent of how actually vow themselves for the happiness, for the well-being of humanity. I think it could be a Mahayana path. Yeah. If one doesn't vow themselves with the well-being of humanity, then it's always a Theravada path, a small vehicle. So what is the difference between merits and karma? My understanding is we gain merits through our bodily actions, verbal actions, and our mental actions, that it is our generosity, our virtue, and our meditation that afford us these merits. Is that not the same as karma? What do you think?
With karma, we have the intention plays a big role with the karma. It's the intention that matters
Mm-hmm.
in the karma. Where the other actions that you may,
Merits. They said merits and karma, are they the same?
Merit could be the result of the outcome of karma.
Could be,
Good karma.
could be, or they are.
Yeah.
They are.
They are of it's a skillful karma, but if we did a skillful karma, then it's not. If we did a skillful karma, then the merit is the result.
Yeah.
But if we did an unskillful karma, like killing somebody or stealing or something, then that's not the.
So yes, so merits actually are the result of karma. Wholesome karma. Wholesome karma. Because merit is positive. It's a positive result. Karma, sometimes people also misunderstand the word of karma. Or they only see, when they hear the word of karma, they always think it is negative, in a sense of negativity. But no, there are positive karma, because there are wholesome actions, wholesome results. Unwholesome actions bring unwholesome results. So the results are karma. Yeah? And the actions, whether it's verbal, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, are the actions, are the causes. But what is the real cause of those actions, whether it's verbal, whether it's mental, whether it's physical? Which causes? Who is responsible?
We are
Yeah, who is we are? Who is this we?
all for our own fun.
So who governs our actions?
Well,
Yeah.
we can change our karma if we practice
Yeah, what is this we?
our intention.
Our intention. Where does that intention lie? Mind, yeah. Is the mind same with the mental actions?
In the heart.
In the heart, okay. I am not asking you where. What is the mind? Consciousness. The eye consciousness is not the mind.
No.
The ear consciousness is not the mind.
Perception.
The perception is not the mind. It's not all the mind. Part of the mind, yes. Part of the mind. The mind is not necessarily in your heart, remember.
Is it floating around?
It's floating around, yes, Sue.
Is the mind like your awareness?
The mind-like awareness?
It's like your awareness, your mind. It's what you're
No.
aware of.
This is part of that ability of the mind to do that. It's the ability of the mind to be aware. You can actually build up that ability.
Our reactions to our sensations.
That is your sankhara part of the mind.
The mind is a wild elephant.
So how many parts of the mind? 4 parts. What is the first? Vijnana. What is vijnana in English? Consciousness. So what? How many consciousness? 1? 6.
So one having 6 names. One, but it, depending on which one. At one moment, only one.
At one moment, only one consciousness?
Yeah, there's one consciousness, but it,
At any moment.
yes, and when it is active in the ear, it's called ear consciousness.
Okay.
When it is in the eye, it's called eye consciousness.
So there are 6 different types of consciousness. 6 consciousness.
6 ways that it acts. My understanding was that it is the same consciousness, but because you don't have eye consciousness and ear consciousness
At the same time, yes.
So that one consciousness manifests and one dies, one arises and passes away, and then the other.
Because we have 6 sense doors. So 6 sense doors, but only one sense door work at one particular moment.
Yes. So it arises
And that moment, a lot of times we also misunderstand that moment is a very long moment. So I can hear, I can see. Look, if I cannot hear and see, how can I speak and look at the same time? You understand? Because that moment is so fast. So fast. That's even too slow. And so they really overlap. So they don't overlap. They arise and passes so fast. But we, the human, our ability is not able to recognize it yet. When we are able to recognize that fast arising and fast passing, I tell you, you are not far from attaining the Buddhahood. Yeah?
That would feel pretty crazy.
I don't know.
I think the attention plays a big part in the rising of consciousness. At any given moment, people have, they say, multitasking. That is a misnomer. At any given moment, you have just one.
Yes, yes. That and I say yes. You know, just one, but that moment is so brief,
So brief, yeah.
so flickering, and this human mind, this human mind, unless it's really sharp and well cultivated, well developed, it cannot see that moment of arising and passing. Okay. So that actually talks about jhana. That leads to talk, that you can need to talk about jhana, because there is a question about jhana. So that jhana, when you talk about the first jhana, there's a very deep absorption samadhi. Deep absorption samadhi. Your mind is totally in that particular meditative object. For example, your breath. And sometimes when the breath arises, when the breath passes, you don't act. Sometimes you can actually not feel that breath, but yet you are aware, still aware of your own existence.
Is that the mind?
Of course, it's the mind being aware of the existence. At that time, is the mind being aware of your existence. It's not just the awareness, it's the mind being aware.
Why does it sometimes feel like a vast ocean of nothingness?
That's also the mind. That's also the mind feeling in that kind of mental. It's so difficult to put into words these kind of things. It's so difficult. We have to talk about that later on. But what were we talking about? The mind. Okay, the first is the consciousness, and the second we come back to this.
Perception.
Perception. What is perception? This is a part of the
It's conditioning, mostly.
perception. No,
Yeah, because
no.
perception is
Where you perceive things.
Where you see things, where you hear things, where you touch things, where you feel things, where you smell things, where you taste things. That's the perception. It's you see form, but you don't know what this is. That is only you perceiving the object, but not knowing this object. How do you know this object? By
By touching and seeing. And there's only 6 ways to find out what that object is like. From the 6
which part of the mind?
sight right now.
No.
oh,
The sight is only seeing this, a form or a color.
deciding what
The sanya. What is sanya?
Prasanya, in English, I think they say, call it perception.
Perception. Okay. Consciousness is seeing it. The consciousness see this as a form. Yeah. And then with the eye consciousness, is you see this as a form. The sanya perceive this as a something. From our own past experience, I know this is called a gong stick. And this is called gong because from my experience, from my knowledge, right? Agree? And then through this, I hear, I see, I smell, I taste. What comes next? No, that's already in the sanya. Vedana, there is a feeling, there's a sensation. You hear this gong. There is a sensation in your body through your ears. There's a sensation through your not through your ears, but through the hearing of the sound, and you have these sensations in this body. And then what's the last part of this mind? Sankhara. What is sankhara? Volitional formation. Or you can call it reaction. Huh?
Sometimes it's called fabrication.
Fabrication is reactions. So you reacted, you will react to the sensation, whether it is
Good or bad? Yummy.
pleasant,
Unpleasant, or neutral.
Yeah.
pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. When it's pleasant,
You are attached.
you will tend to attach to it. That's the real word of sankhara. You start to react. So one has to be one has to really understand this mind, these few parts of the mind. And because of this new reaction of this mind, you create a new consciousness. Right? The first consciousness see this. That's the first consciousness. And then through those all those four, the other three parts of the mind, yeah, the sanya, the vedana, and then the sankhara, then you create another consciousness. And then you start to have another consciousness to work with. That's why in the 12 links of dependent origination, remember, it's a circle. It goes round. And this lifetime goes to the next lifetime. Why? Because we bury all those seeds in that consciousness, in that mind. And so when this body departs, the material part of the material part of our existence ends. All these energy, we are all energy. Even though we are not manipulating energy, but we are energy. And all this energy will float around. And wait until we find our parents. Or not find our parents. Or we go anywhere. Up or down, or in and out, left or right, or nothingness. We hardly touch on any questions. Or we cover many questions. Okay, so is merits and karma clear? But the whole thing about karma, the whole thing about merits and the whole thing about karma is really the intention, the mind. Okay, even though your mind even though it seems that on the surface you're very generous, but your generosity has a hidden agenda at the back, hidden agenda, then the merits that you gain is very minimal. There was an emperor in the Tang dynasty, and he built many temples, and he offered a lot of dana, and he supported a lot of monastics. So when Bodhidharma, the monk came from India who brought the Chen meditation to India, from India to China. And so Emperor King received him. Of course, he offered dana. And Emperor King asked Bodhidharma, monk Bodhidharma, he said, what kind of merits do I have? How much merits do I have? And he was expecting an answer is astronomical merits. You have so much merits that you cannot finish using it this life. You can have many, many million lifetimes. And you know what Bodhidharma said? Bodhidharma said, you have none. You have no merits. The emperor was so angry. He said, what are you saying? What are you saying? I have built so many monasteries. I have over so much. I have supported all the monastics. And now you say that I do not have any merits? What is your what do you call that? Reason behind this? And Bodhidharma didn't say anything. Of course, it's the intention that counts. So if you intend, oh, I'm going to help you because I want to be, I want to get some merits from surfacing you, or from volunteering you, you don't get anything. That's why no judgment, no expectation, no analysis, just nothing. Just sit, just do. Just serve agenda, because it's not going to take you anywhere. All right? Good, very good. Hey, question and answer is actually quite nice, eh? Okay, so coming up, Saturday, July 16. How many children do we have? Do they have this time?
12.
Oh, that's not bad. We are letting them use vipassana to do children course here. Auspicious blessing. You can write in messages. If you have a lot of gratitude for something that you have, for somebody or some whatever events, you can write in. You don't have to put your name on. And if you want to seek repentance, you have hurt others, you have done something bad, you have said something bad, blah 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 blah. You can write in all those messages, and we will do it. Say it out day, and the last day. The first day is the gratitude, the last day is the repentance. And with each message, we will have a prostration. One prostration for one message.
Sorry, the organizers are asking that they all be submitted by the 15th. So
15th of July? Okay. So what's today? 11th. Hurry up, please. And this is the third year for mooncakes. So Kiwa, the delicacy shop in Hong Kong, they are doing this aged orange peel, 30 years old orange peel mooncake with red bean paste and egg cakes in a box. Some of you have bought some last year, right? So order please, $68 for one box with 8 delicacies for the Moon Festival. Please note to accommodate special events, daily meditation will be cancelled on Sunday. July 16, isn't it, on a Monday or a Saturday?
because course is on Sunday.
Oh, is that on it? Oh, but it says Saturday just now. Sunday, okay, never mind. Sunday, and then Monday, and then Monday. 2 Mondays because of the auspicious ceremony. All right? Any questions? You can still put in some questions for next week. We will still do Q&A, all right?
Sorry, I just wanted to.
Oh yes, parking. Yeah, we have very little place to park. So if you park on Tuesday, please park very like slanted, like really, huh?
Next Tuesday is Wellness. The party, street party.
Oh, really?
Park the car.
Oh, is everybody welcome to go to the block party?
Just the residents.
Oh,
Velma residents.
Velma residents.
Well, actually, we're watching.
Okay.
We're very central.
So also everybody has to park over there at the barn. What is the 5 to 7? Oh. And we invite them all to come for Dharma sharing. After the block party, they can do with a little bit of peace of mind. Okay, so everybody park at the barn, but eventually if you're allowed to come back and park, please park like this. So, and park right next up to here. Don't save any spot, please. So we can park more cars. Okay, don't save a spot for me. I can park right down there, no problem. But park right here so people close by, and it's very slanted so a car can really drive through. What's the second thing? Oh, no phones in the meditation hall, please. No phones. All right. I remember the last day, the metta day, a 10-day course, and we were doing metta, and there was this phone. Yeah, on the woman's side. That's good. Wake up, do metta. All right. Okay, now we do metta. We bring our awareness back to our own existence, this physical existence, knowing, being very aware of how this body is sitting and how this breath is coming, going. And with this experience, we allow this good thought to arise on our mind. For all the benefits I gather participating in Dhamma sharing, I wish to share with all beings, human, non-human, visible, invisible, big or small, far or near. May they be free of enmity. May they be free of miseries. May they start to live in a world with brightness, warmth, experience compassionate love and peace, and be happy. May we wish more and more people will encounter the teachings of the wise, study, understand, and practice, help themselves liberate themselves from their own entanglements, and be happy and be peaceful. Good. See you all next week.